This video is brought to you by Nebula. Today, global stocks plunge, Bangladesh's Prime Minister resigns and flees amid mass protests, and Ukraine receives its first F-16 fighter jets. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Monday the 5th of August 2024. Global stocks have plunged amid fears that the US economy is headed for a potential recession. On Monday, Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 fell almost 13%, its largest one-day fall since Black Monday in October 1987. Elsewhere in Asia, South Korea's benchmark stock index ended nearly 9% down, its biggest percentage fall since the 2008 financial crisis. At one point during trading, for the first time since March 2020, circuit breakers were activated to suspend the trading of stocks. At time of writing on Monday morning, European stocks had opened sharply lower, hitting a near 6-month low in a continuation of the global turbulence. The VIX index, which effectively measures expected stock market volatility and is dubbed the fear gauge, soared above 40 points on Monday, indicating investors' nervousness over the US economy. So, what's behind all this? Well, on Friday, the US Bureau of Labor Statistics released its latest jobs report, showing that the US economy added just 114,000 jobs in July, well below expectations and a big decrease from the 179,000 added in June. Headline unemployment also rose to 4.3%, the highest level since October 2021. This only added to investor concerns that the Federal Reserve should have cut interest rates at its monthly meeting last week, when it opted to keep its benchmark interest rate unchanged. Added to all this is increasing geopolitical uncertainty, with, for example, tensions between Iran and Israel spiking and fears of a wider escalation. Economists at Goldman Sachs raised the probability of a US recession in the next year from 15 to 25%, but said that they still see the risk as limited. There's more on the way, but remember to subscribe and ring the bell for more daily briefing tomorrow. Plus, if you want to support the channel like the salted fish, then consider joining the new TLDR membership program for just $1.99. Over the weekend, further violence erupted in Bangladesh, where protests against quotas in the civil service broke out into a wider protest against the government. Essentially, the country has a system whereby 30% of the jobs in government are reserved for veterans who fought in Bangladesh's War of Independence against Pakistan in 1971. Students have been calling for an end to the system and have been protesting against it for a month now. As part of this, they've called for the resignation of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The protests really stepped up this weekend, though. The government cut off access to the internet and mobile service, meaning that access to Facebook and WhatsApp was not available. The police response has also stepped up markedly, with both police and supporters of the government starting to use live ammunition against protesters. There were also reports that police used tear gas and rubber bullets. In total, it's been reported that at least 90 people have lost their lives as part of the recent protests. The police have claimed that following an attack on a police station, 13 police officers have also lost their lives. In a dramatic escalation that's happening at the time of writing, it's been reported that Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has resigned and fled the country, with footage emerging of protesters storming the Prime Minister's official residence. This is obviously a big breaking news story, so we aim to have a full video on the subject over on the TLDR News Global channel later this week. Far-right riots are continuing across the UK, as the weekend saw violence in several cities, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer warned that those involved will regret it. As of Monday morning, more than 140 people have been arrested across the country. The worst scenes over the weekend were in Rotherham, as rioters smashed their way into and set a fire inside a Holiday Inn hotel housing asylum seekers. Police, having been temporarily overwhelmed, were eventually able to regain control of the hotel and extinguish the fire, and no hotel staff or residents were injured. In a separate incident on Sunday night, 3 petrol bombs were reportedly thrown at another Holiday Inn in Tamworth, with police ultimately able to successfully disperse the rioters. In Middlesbrough, in the northeast of England, police condemned the, quote, staggering violence that has so far seen 43 people arrested. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said, "People in this country have a right to be safe, and yet we've seen Muslim communities targeted, attacks on mosques, other minority communities singled out, Nazi salutes in the street, attacks on the police, wanton violence alongside racist rhetoric. So no, I won't shy away from calling it what it is: far-right thuggery. The government announced on Sunday that mosques would be offered new emergency security in response to the violence. Anti-racist groups have also mobilised in response to the riots, organising counter-demonstrations in several towns. The riots first kicked off in Southport on the 30th of July, following a mass stabbing that killed 3 small children. Disinformation quickly spread on social media, despite it being totally false, that the suspect was a Muslim asylum seeker. Moving to Ukraine now, where President Volodymyr Zelensky has received his very first American-made F-16 fighter jets. This is something he's been campaigning for a while now, so the fact that they've now touched down in his embattled nation is cause for celebration. Talking at a ceremony at an unnamed airbase, Zelensky thanked allies for finally providing the aircraft, saying, "F-16s in Ukraine, we did it." It's currently unclear exactly how many have actually arrived in Ukraine, although we do know that 65 have been promised from NATO members. This milestone now means that Ukraine has more modern aircraft that they can rely on, other than their stockpile of older Soviet-era jets. As they can carry rockets, bombs and missiles, they should also allow Ukraine's air force to carry out strikes deeper inside their occupied territory, and possibly even within Russia itself. Additionally, they should also allow Ukraine to defend against Russian glide bombs, with suggestions that they could even push Russian aircraft back so much that they're no longer able to target Ukrainian ground forces with these types of bombs. For their part, Russia has vowed to ensure that this doesn't happen, with Putin's press secretary Dmitry Peskov claiming that the new F-16s would be shot down. In the final uplifting story today, we move to China to discuss a groundbreaking surgery. The patient was located in Kashgar in western China and required a lung tumour removal. The doctor was located 1,000 miles away in Shanghai in the east of the country. In order to undertake the surgeon utilised advanced technology and carried it out remotely using robotics. In total, the surgery took only an hour, and a video of the procedure has gone viral online. Keep diving deeper into this and other news stories over on Nebula, where the TLDR team curates the most important news videos from around the world, saving you from a deluge of bad news and helping you pay attention to what really matters. That means no more feeling out of touch. On Nebula News, the TLDR team acts as your guide through the media landscape, sharing the news we're paying attention to, helping you find stories that matter, and avoiding burnout. If you don't know already, Nebula is the streaming service that we co-own with a bunch of your favourite creators. There you can watch original content like Real Life Law's incredible series War Room, which every month runs you through a whole load of ongoing conflicts, keeping you in the loop. You can also watch every TLDR video on Nebula ad-free, and in many instances before they land on YouTube. If you're not a member already, then click the link in the description to sign up now. If you do, you'll get 40% off an annual plan by using our link. Plus, Nebula will know you came from us, which really helps us out. We've got some really great feedback from existing members, so I hope you enjoy all the effort we're going to with Nebula News.